All right, it's Thursday, June 2nd, 2023, and PlayStation just had a new State of Play presentation. It was just under 30 minutes, and I thought they kind of brought some medium heat. I'm not going to grade this thing. I'm not going to give a review of the event because you can't please everybody. If you ask everybody online, they hate everything. But there is some cool stuff from this event that I really wanted to talk about. June is ramping up. There's going to be a bunch of crazy gaming news, hopefully. So expect to see my ugly mug a lot more talking about games. It's good to kind of get back into the swing of things. So let's dive into what I really dug here. The first thing, small thing, the original Insomniac Spider-Man is coming to PC on August 12th, and I'm incredibly excited. As you guys probably know, I'm like weirdly obsessed with that game. Like obviously, like I really love the game, but it's a game that I have never deleted, and I always jump in and just go for a swing. So now, the fact that I could do that on my Steam Deck, dude, I'm sorry if some of you guys are waiting for the pre-order email, but like I'm easy to please. A boy's dreams can come true, all right? But what was nice to see, and I will finally take this as an opportunity to talk about VR for a minute, is that Sony, wasn't afraid to show off some VR stuff for PSVR 2, which is presumably coming fairly soon, and we just recently had news that they are backing up the launch of it with a lot of games, and we got a small glimpse. We got a new extended glimpse of the Horizon game. It's called Horizon Call of the Mountain, and it's got first-person archery, robot monster hunting, all that stuff. But interestingly enough, I liked how much climbing and traversal it had, which is really cool. Whereas in Horizon Forbidden West and Zero Dawn, it's just really like a button you press. It's pretty brainless. This reminded me kind of The Climb, the VR game back like when the Oculus One first launched. I was actually really into that game, that experience. So if it has gameplay similar to that, it kind of actually looked like it did. I'm into that. Also, it's nice to see Walking Dead Saints and Sinners getting a sequel. That's coming 2022. Saints and Sinners 2, Retribution. That was an underrated VR game. So for them to get another shot at it, yes, graphically, you might not think it looks that great, but gameplay-wise, first one was pretty sweet. There was a No Man's Sky PSVR 2 update. They didn't really say anything, but the other thing is Resident Evil Village in PSVR 2. Pretty sweet. The Resident Evil PSVR experiences, I think, are actually pretty damn good. Capcom really showed up. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Stray, the cat game by Annapurna, is finally dated. It's July 19th. We got a new extended look at the game, more enemy encounters, more exploration, more stealth, cat stealth, hiding in a cardboard box. I'm about it. Like, I very much like every time they've shown this game over the past couple of years, I'm like, is that my most anticipated game? And now finally, now that it's closer, I'm like, yeah, I'm really excited for that stupid cat game. Let's go. It's another one like I worry about, like it could almost like, it's like too good to be true and it could stumble on its ambition, but like with everything, we're just gonna have to wait and see, Also, we got like a real look. We got gameplay snippets of the Callisto Protocol. Finally, news has been trickling out about this game. This is from the creator of Dead Space, new studio, spiritual successor, very blatantly, and that's like they acknowledge that to Dead Space. It very much comes off like a Dead Space game, different setting, a little bit different vibe, but I like seeing that this is just a video game. When was the last time you watched like a big AAA budget, just like kind of weird corridor survival horror third-person shooter with a close camera angle? Love to see it. We got to see gross stuff, cool enemy types, seemingly tense moments. I caught a glimpse of what very much looked like those animations where your character just gets immediately destroyed and it cuts to black, like The Last of Us. I love that horror thing, super about it. The sci-fi elements also seem pretty cool here, but just like the chunkiness of it, the way you're just like shaved head, jail dude, everything is gritty. It reminded me of like almost like an early 2000s, mid 2000s game, but like with like today's graphics. And you know what? Let's do it. Also, I'm in a good mood. I don't want to sound like I'm like a hype, like everything. Every one of these games is going to be amazing. Still, this next one I'm really excited about, man. Rollerdrome, August 16th. This is coming out, dude. This is like if I could make a game, it would be somewhat like this. I don't know if I would have made it cell shaded, but wow. So I love Tony Hawk. And I love third-person shooters, and I love third-person shooters like Max Payne, where you can go in slow motion, and this game is going to give me both of those things. Like, there are games that have kind of come close to this, like My Friend Pedro is a pretty awesome 2D experience of that. Like, this thing is messed around with, but the way it was presented here, the way you're pulling off shots, it very, very much looked like it was being played with a keyboard and mouse, which is interesting considering it's a PlayStation showcase, but sometimes there's certain games you need that to pull that off. But however it plays, this does seem pretty cool. I hope it can live up to its gameplay concept. It doesn't seem like a multiplayer thing. It seems like kind of a straightforward thing, but I am very much down to just do flips in slow motion and shoot at dudes and tanks. I did see some moments where like the animations didn't look as smooth as they could be, but again, this is like a smaller independent game, but I'm just interested to see what the actual core gameplay loop is, because if it's sick, it'll really click. If it doesn't, and it just has that cool gameplay, like I just hope it's enough, you know? Then we have Eternights, which is early 2023. We don't have a ton of information about that. It's like an action hybrid with like a relationship type of dating style game, almost like visual novel stuff. Cool hybrid. Again, need to know more. Also, Street Fighter 6 is coming 2023, and we got a good long look at it. You guys know I'm not like the biggest fighting game guy. I just, with Street Fighter, I like seeing them kind of consistently one-up themselves or change up the visual style, and it looked very cool here. When it first immediately just showed open-ended, like open world little kind of run around a hub area and talk to people, like, it's weird that they opened with that, and I was like, oh, that's not cool. And especially when Japanese studios handle that stuff, when it's just kind of like, you know, phoned in open world shit. Like even sometimes it's like, oh, I don't know, dude. But then when it came down to the core fighting and your characters showing up, looking a little older, looking a little cooler, looking a little different, you know, the music, the action, the effects, I was about it. Again, full disclosure, I don't know shit about Street Fighter. The only ones I'm actually good at, or at least try to be good at and stick with, are the Soul Calibur games and the Tekken games a little bit. So yeah. Tunic is coming to PlayStation September 27th. Also worth highlighting for those of you guys waiting for it. I talked about Tunic in my previous Q&A video. Sorry in advance. But also we got a longer look at what's called Season, A Letter to the Future. This is coming fall 2022. This is a smaller scale experience too, but it seems incredibly gorgeous. When they first showed it off, it was gorgeous, but I'm glad like they're following through here. We see like actual gameplay, and you know, with the way they talked about the story, it sounded super vague, so who knows. But every once in a while, I like to play a game where I don't need to be the best thing ever, or I don't need to die a million times. Sometimes I just want to, like, you know, hang out, relax, and enjoy like some sort of art, just some weird game that people created. So hopefully this scratches that itch. The other thing that's very interesting is that we finally got a look at Final Fantasy XVI. And now some of us, like, you know, talker video game type people, were thinking it was coming sooner, but we now know that it's coming summer 2023. So seems like we still got another whole year, but we got a big old trailer with a bunch of gameplay. And I love Final Fantasy, and I love a new one every single time. Like I can't help but get excited for like a new world, new combat system, new stuff, and everything seems pretty over the top here and wild. You know, when I just see a crazy combat system and I hear cool music, I can't help but get excited for a Final Fantasy game. They don't always live up to my hopes, dreams, and expectations, but with some of the people working on 16, there is some anticipation for some good shit here. Now, what is interesting is that, first of all, there was blood, which was pretty cool. You don't see that in every Final Fantasy, but I find myself kind of like not feeling any emotional hook yet. Usually, Final Fantasy games, even the lead up, the marketing, will try and push characters and a beautiful kingdom and like all this stuff. And this was literally, once again, kind of all just about like, we're under threat, we need to fight a war, and it's just chaos and awesomeness. But you get to see full-on summons, and like half the trailer just emphasized big, huge battles. So that is very cool. So I'm really curious to see really just like what kind of story they're going to tell here. Every single one, they kind of come with a different hook, a different angle. It's not just about a setting change. Every story has a little bit of a different flavor or twist to it. So I'm really curious to see what is the deal with this one. I know they've done other trailers that were a little more story focused, but it's hard. Sometimes it's just like gibberish. You're like, I don't know what this is without the context of the game. So I'm waiting to see what the deal is with the story. Otherwise though, it looks really sick. Now, the last thing we got to talk about is the thing they opened with, the Resident Evil 4 remake, which we've known it's officially a thing, but we haven't gotten to see it. Now we finally did the remake of the original classic Resident Evil 4. And it looks pretty much what like what we'd expected. So it's Resident Evil 4 with the new Resident Evil engine, with the Resident Evil 2 remake style Leon and vibe. And it's very, very interesting. So the way they kicked it off, the way the trailer was edited, everything was very, very cool. You get to hear a little bit of Leon. You get to see a glimpse of Leon in the car, which is very cool. I was curious because, like, you hear his voice and he does sound like remake Leon, but he does sound a little bit more badass. And I'm glad that they like didn't skip that nuance, that like, oh, now Leon is kind of like a corny badass. Like, keep that. Good. Who knows how much they're going to embrace that, and really how much the story is going to... First of all, Louis is in it and they showed him in the trailer. So like, I'm curious to see how much they're going to diverge, how much they're still going to like keep the weird, embrace the weird. We did get a statement. This is by them, and I quote, by Capcom, this is being done by reimagining the storyline of the game while keeping the essence of its direction, modernizing the graphics, and updating the controls to a modern standard. So who knows what that means, but we did get a glimpse of the opening village. It looks significantly different. We also got to see Leon walking in the woods with his jacket. Now, this is the only thing that gave me pause, and this is super, super specific to me, so let me just go on a tangent here. I talked about this way back like a year or so ago when they announced this remake, things I would like to see in Resident Evil 4, which is a game that I replayed it not that long ago. I still think it holds up. I don't think it needed like a full remake, but still, I'll take it. I would love to see newer developers just do a new spin on it, try it a little different, so let's go. But one thing I didn't want them to lose was that distinct feel of the woods, the fall woods in that game, especially the opener. When you get out of the car, you walk up to that first house, you find the first bad guy. That woods is so iconic, also so believable, even with GameCube graphics, like a simple dead woods that's just completely gray and flat. I loved it. I still think that there's nothing like that in video games. And here we got a quick look at Leon walking in seemingly kind of a woods, and it was like overkill. It was like sunlight and crazy shit and trees and rocks, and I was like, oh no, they like over video game like art directed it. Like, holy shit. Like, I hope they still are able to keep things simple. This is again just me nitpicking from this little trailer. Other stuff I actually thought was really cool. Some of the environment design that they did show is actually pretty heavily influenced seemingly by it reminded me a lot of Village, which I know Village was kind of like, you know, inspired by RE4, so now it's almost like RE4 Remake is taking a little bit of inspiration from how Village designed some of its stuff. So I don't know. I'm excited to give it a shot. I know there's a lot of people out there that are skeptical. I think I am too, but again, like I said, at this point with remakes, especially with remakes like this, dude, I just like games, and when it's a game I love, yeah, I'll give it another shot as like a different control scheme, different people making it, trying something different. Yeah, why not? I love the original enough that I'll try it again with a different flavor or a different sauce on it. I'm actually sweating. Whew, I think that's really it. That's all I had to say. I finally got a haircut. It's bad. I need to fire whoever cut this. It's terrible. But that was just some fun game stuff. A couple of announcements and stuff that I thought were worth talking about. Feels good to do that. So I want to hear from you guys what you think. You know, don't grade the whole presentation overall. I really just want to know, was there one thing from this that you enjoyed? Something that you're looking forward to? There's got to be. So I want to hear what that is and why specifically, dude. Let's talk. The stuff I really hammered home here, the stuff I talked about a lot, is the stuff that I'm most excited about. Some of the PSVR stuff, Callisto Protocol, Resident Evil 4, fucking Rollerdrome. Okay, cool. Like, so let's chat about this stuff. I want to hear from you guys in the comments, and I gotta say, really, a million other YouTubers make this type of video for this type of thing. So if you clicked on me, thank you. I appreciate that. You could have clicked on anybody, but that's it, guys. It's me. Clicking the like button's all you got to do to help. I'm Jake Baldino. Subscribe because video games, pizza's on me.